What a day. What a day after to decide to talk Sixers and dedicate a majority of the show to Sixers basketball. We got a big basketball NBA Sixers day the day after Joel Embiid dropped 70 points on the San Antonio Spurs. We're live. We've got special guests. We've got so much basketball, not football, basketball to talk to. We're live with your thoughts and opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, follow, retweet, subscribe on all social media platforms, and make sure you drop your comments. That's the most important part of the show. Even if you're watching on Twitter, Twitter comments are back. So all those people watching on Twitter, click the video, a chat box pops up, and I can put your comments right on the screen. As we're going to mix it up a little bit today, trying to bring in some guests. I got Bill Matz from PHLY Flyers coverage, talking Flyers tomorrow. We got Renee Washington coming on next week. But today I've got later, about 10, 15 minutes, my man Scotty from DSM Media to join me to talk Sixers. And I asked Scotty to join me to talk Sixers today about a week ago. I had no idea it was the day after a game that Joel Embiid, the MVP of the NBA, was going to decide to go out there and drop a 70 burger on Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. What a performance that was. What a game that was. What a moment that was in Joel Embiid's career, in the Sixers' history. Something that, I remember watching Kobe's 81 game. I was at the Kobe tribute game. I've seen and I've been to some pretty big moments in the NBA and the Sixers' history. And to get to watch that on TV last night, I could not imagine what it felt like to be at the Wells Fargo Center for that. And it's an insane moment. First time here, I like what I see. Give you a light, and I hit that light. I appreciate that. And what a special night last night was. And stay tuned, because we got a great guest that knows his NBA inside and out. Join us at 8:15 this morning. So make sure you stick it out. What a moment that was. Wembanyama looked great, and Joe scored more than Cat, who had 60. I did see the Cat at 62 last night, but those T-Wolves lost last night. We won. Wembanyama, I was focused on the game because I couldn't wait to see an extended amount of Victor Wembanyama play basketball. And that guy is, last night you had in the NBA going the current big man star against the future big man star of the NBA, Embiid versus Wembanyama. And that first quarter, the first 5 to 7 minutes of last night's game, it was Embiid versus, like, they just went back and forth. Wembanyama, for as skinny and as a stick figure as he is, the guy's got skills. The guy's got talent. The guy can shoot. He's got moves. He moves well. If he could just put on a little bit more muscle mass to get a little stronger, I don't know if he can. But if he can, he is going to be an unstoppable force one day once he gets off his 25, 26-minute minute restriction, which Spurs fans, we're all too familiar with minute restrictions here with Embiid early in his career. But it's just something special last night. Like I was going to watch last night's game for the Wembanyama part. I was going to watch last night's game because I knew I had Scotty coming on. I wanted to have a firsthand account of what we saw last night. The Spurs were a game. They pushed it. We were missing 5 of our regular rotation guys last night. and we were still able to come out with a W over the Spurs. But it was just one of those moments in time that you're always going to remember. 70 points. There's a reason why only 7 other guys in NBA history have scored 70 points or more. Now I see people complaining on social media that it happens now far too often. You had Dame do it. You had Donovan Mitchell do it recently. Kobe. And it's funny. Last night was the anniversary of Kobe dropping 81. Just think about that. Scotty's already chomping at the bit to get in here. He can't wait to talk about this. You jump in whenever you're ready, Scotty. I did not know that Joel was going to drop 70 when I said let's talk Sixers. It's just something. Yes, we are doing it. We are talking Sixers, and today will be almost completely Sixers talk. Yeah, there's some Eagles defensive coordinator rumors floating around. I don't care right now. Tomorrow won't be all Flyers talk. There will be a little Flyers talk tomorrow. We're going to bring everybody into the equation on this show now that the season's over. Eagles 2024 season better. Look, we're not talking sick Eagles today. We're talking Joel Embiid, 70 points, and the Philadelphia 76ers. Wasn't going to watch, but 24 in the first made me tune in. 70, 18, and 5. Don't forget the block shot, too. It's amazing. I watched the first quarter and a half at work. Then I got home from the pizza shop for the second half. It's just something special. Something special, what we saw last night. I know basketball because I played basketball. Picture this. David Robinson came to the NBA. He was the same way. Wendy right now is David Robinson. All right. Yeah, I'm old enough. David Robinson was one of my favorite non-Philadelphia 76ers growing up. Loved watching David Robinson play. And then they added Tim Duncan. I was actually early on a huge Spurs fan because of David Robinson, then because of Tim Duncan. What's with the Spurs always getting elite big men? I mean, it's kind of crazy. But coordinator interviews and pressers. Well, there will be a press conference for the Eagles. I think it's tomorrow. Howie and Nicky Boy six packs. We'll save that for tomorrow and Thursday's show. Today is all Sixers. I may touch on what Scotty wants to say about the Eagles at the end of the show, but that's it. We got to give the love to the Philadelphia 76ers. Got to love House not caring and firing. Yeah. Daniel House, I've never seen a Sixer be booed so merciless. Don't. You got Maxey giving it up, knowing the situation. There was a point, honestly, when he was at 64 or 65 points. It was 3-4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I'm like, he might go for 80. He legitly could. Then the scoring kind of slowed down a little bit there. But yeah, House is like, screw this. This is my moment. 700 guys are out. I'm playing minutes. I want a shot. Where are we here? Here we go. Being like the new David Robinson, and they can get somebody in the draft that could be like Tim Duncan for Spurs. I think the Spurs are back. Yeah, I thought Pop was done, and then he got Wembanyama. So Pop's back. That's right, Mitchie Poo. 70 burger. Man. It's just, it's special. Anybody that's out there questioning, because I do see people question that it's not a big deal what he did, and let's throw Karl Anthony Towns, that bum, into the equation as well, dropping 60-some yesterday, that it's just too common now in the NBA. Stop. Only the 7th or 8th player to ever drop 70 in a game. It's something. It makes what Will Chamberlain did that much more special because he did it 7 times himself. Sixers aren't better than the Eagles, so Philadelphia will most likely reach the championship than the stupid Sixers with a one-man team. Come on, Travis. Well, we can't enjoy a little Sixers basketball? Sixers are a damn good basketball team, playing great basketball right now. Nick Nurse has done a phenomenal job changing the culture of this organization, changing the commitment from all the players on this team. This team, out of all the teams over the last 5 to 10 years, have the best damn chance. And this is without even a trade. And we'll get into the trade deadline with Scotty in a few minutes. Without making a move, this Sixers team can compete in the East. And there's no doubt about it. Spurs always played the right way, too. They did. There's never any drama in that city. You got to tip your cap to Popovich might be an a-hole to the media at times, but Greg Popovich and the Spurs organization has been run perfectly for a very long time. DJ was the man when I was young. And Tom, what was that, like 100 years ago that you were young? Embiid is Olajuwon on steroids if Wemby is Robinson. There is actually a lot of similarities in Olajuwon and Embiid's game. Um, I mean, I'm old enough to have watched him play, live, on my TV screen, on my 20-inch TV screen. So, there's a lot of similarities in their game. He missed a free throw in the fourth. Can't handle the pressure. I know exactly. And then just the way the team rallies around Joel. The celebration in the locker room, how much fun the Sixers are having. It's just like it's totally different attitude. The attitude is more like the 2022 Eagles attitude. Like we need the current Eagles to look at what the Sixers are doing, having fun, doing things the right way, and maybe they'll fix their thing. I was at the game. I'm still getting my hearing back. Do you think the Sixers need another player, or are they perfectly fine just the way I think one clutch player away? I'm looking at DeRozan. But we're going to ask Scotty that, Kip, when he joins us in a few minutes here. But I think there's both answers, both ways to go. First off, I'm not a huge DeRozan fan. I know he's evolved his game a little bit. I don't know if he's necessarily what we need. I think the Sixers team, as constructed, can make a run. But I also think if you make one or two tweaks to this roster, not only can make them run, they can make a run to the finals. Like, I'm that confident that this team, with the right pieces, we're going to get Scotty's expert opinion a little bit on that. And you were at the game. I mean, frame that ticket. Go to an autograph sign. Find a way to get your ticket. Well, I guess most people don't have ticket stubs. So I was going to say, get a ticket stub signed. That would be, the thing to do there. Joel dropped 51 on the T-Wolves with the best defense in the league and 70 on one of the worst. He has range. The dude's unstoppable right now. The only thing that's keeping him from guaranteeing a back-to-back MVP trophy is the fact that he can only miss, 6 more games with that new rule, which I didn't mind the rule. Now thinking about it, that he missed all those games. Maybe it's a problem, but we'll see. Travis, can I introduce you to Tyrese? Tyrese Maxey, another stellar young player. I mean, he didn't have a big offensive output last night, obviously, with the 70 points from Joel Embiid. But Tyrese Maxey, man, the guy's a special young player. Everyone's like, you need a third star. You don't need a third star. When you got Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid playing the way they are, you don't need a third star. You need plenty of complementary pieces, which they've got a lot of them. Unfortunately, they're missing a few of them right now, and that's a problem. Sixers are easily better than the Eagles this year. It's not hard. Sixers have – look, it's not even just the play on the field versus the court. It's the attitude. It's the energy. It's the feeling that you're getting, the vibes. There's just something special with the vibe coming out of the Sixers right now. And I felt this vibe a few times in my life. The Eagles, 2022. The Eagles in 2017. The Phillies multiple times in 2008 through 2011. I mean, they didn't always work out in titles, but I felt this vibe a few times. I felt this vibe. This current Sixers vibe, this is a borderline equal to the 2001 Allen Iverson NBA Eastern Conference champion Sixers team. Everyone knows their role. Everyone's playing. Everyone's on the same page. They're deferring to their star. There's a lot of vibe similarities from the 01 Sixers team to this Sixers team. My question to you, Travis, this is the same thing that with the Phillies, and look what the Phillies in the last few years, they just said the same thing. Yeah, I agree. Travis is a little harsh on the Sixers today. What's up, Kylie? Embiid grew up watching Hakeem highlights, so I'm not shocked. Yeah, I mean, again, Kylie, you're like, you weren't even born when he got into the Hall of Fame. He was already in the Hall of Fame before you were born. That's how old Hakeem was. That's how long time ago he played. I was watching him play on my TV. I was watching him. And Joel Embiid is as close as a comparison as you can make. But I think the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. I like how people come at Philadelphia and Philadelphia. Look, Travis is a good guy. He's on the show. He comments a lot on this show. So No harm, no foul there. How am I doing today? If Joel Embiid could score 70 points a game, I'll always be okay. Makes it very easy to wake up when you have something positive. Look, we have been nothing but negative on this show since the Monday night loss to the Buccaneers. Hell, since the Cardinals lost, the Eagles lost to the Cardinals, there's been nothing but negativity on this show. We get to be positive. It's something special when you get to be positive. Maxey and Embiid ain't enough. Look at Dwayne, Laurent, and Bosch. We got two, but we got a good supporting cast around them, and I think it might be enough. We'll get into it in a bit. Sound like an old man yelling at the crowd. Moments like this make me mad. There's no tickets. Yeah, like this is something that you want that ticket framed and put up on the wall. I'm sure there's a place you could print your ticket out, actually. I think somebody said that to me once. If you wanted to. Can't wait for him to score 30 plus in Denver. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nuggets just won the chip with Aaron Gordon as their third star. Exactly. Aaron Gordon, yeah. Only thing I'm scared about is ruining the locker room chemistry with a trade. We are going to get into that too. Guys, is enough. We're going to fire through these comments real quick because I see my guest in the back room there. If he's that good this year, yeah, we're going to catch up on all these comments. I'm just gonna bring Scotty in right now and join us on the I Have No Sponsor hotline from DSM Media. My man, Scotty Drowned. What is up, my man? Good morning.
Good morning, man. What's good? Got a lively conversation going in here. I see it. Got involved in the comments early. But yeah, what an exciting morning to be here, man. We didn't schedule this overnight,
exactly.
right?
It's like
this has been planned for a week. We get the 70 piece right before. This is great, man.
Like seriously, like we exchanged a list of topics to talk about today. I don't even care about that list right now. You know what I mean? Like 70 points, Scotty. I don't know how many games of significance you've watched in your lifetime. You're a little younger than me. I've watched a lot of significant games, a lot of moments in my life basketball-wise. This ranks up there basketball-wise with, the Kobe tribute game, the Allen Iverson crossover of Jordan game, the Tyronn Lue step over Iverson game. This ranks up there with all of them. How important, how special, how monumental it could change a season. What are your thoughts on such a huge moment like that?
Yeah, I think like exactly like you said, man. This was just such a huge moment, not only for the Sixers, not only for Embiid, but like just for basketball in general. And watching it last night, it was like the first time. Now, mind you, I never saw like the Devin Booker 70-point game live. I never saw who was it? Donovan Mitchell. There was another guy that's I think Dame had like 68 or something mixed in there.
Dame scored 70 last year, and Mitchell did last year.
Okay, so both of those guys scored 70. So I didn't actually catch those games live. So
I caught the Kobe game live.
Yeah, his last game, right?
Yeah,
or you're talking about the 81-point game.
I'm talking about the 81. I caught that live on.
And see, that's the one I was going to go to because that's the one that I remember from my childhood.
Yeah.
So that's what last night took me back to. Ultimately, was just that type of performance because you just don't see guys dominate on a nightly basis like that. I mean, he had like 34 at halftime or something. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. And then you look at the numbers that he's doing it at. He's not jacking up shots, man. He was 24 for 41 from the field. He made 24 shots, right? This guy is just amazing. He was obviously getting after it on the boards too, so it wasn't just scoring last night. And I think the biggest thing, man, you saw the way his teammates supported him. You saw the way his teammates wanted to get him the ball when he's in that zone. And I know there was people calling it like selfish, which I just don't have time to hear that type of comment. When you're dropping 70, you have a right to be selfish when you're shooting the way that Embiid was shooting last night and scoring the ball the way that he was. But what I would say, man, I said it last night on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. That was honestly the best performance that I've gotten a chance to witness for myself because it is Joel Embiid and it is Philadelphia 76ers and it is the best scoring punch that we've ever seen from a Philadelphia 76er ever in a game. And, it was nights like last night where I'm standing in the middle of my living room for, a game in the middle of the year against the San Antonio Spurs. Like I'm standing up on my feet and at the end of the game, I'm like clapping out loud he's getting a standing ovation from me in my house. And I felt like he deserved that because, I mean, I was sitting there with my wife and, there was just kind of a silence in the air, man. Like, I'm not joking here when I'm talking about like basketball excellence. And when you're watching something like that, you can just feel it happening. And you're just asking yourself, is he going to get to 64? Is he going to get to 65, 67? Is he going to beat Wilt? Is he going to get to 70? Could he get to 80? And that's the crazy thing, man. 70 isn't the cap. Like, he can score more. He can play more and he can score more.
I don't know if you picked up on it. Ala and Kate Scott last night at the end of the game made some like subtle comments and like they expect to see this again from Joel. Like, this is not the end of it and everything like that. It's everything you said there is spot on. And the haters out there, just coming all over him for this, that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. You got Cat last night, dropped 62 or 64, but his team lost that game to a terrible Charlotte Hornets team. And they said after the game, they were so focused on him setting records and scoring the points and stuff. The Sixers were able to still win a game. They were massively shorthanded last night. They were missing, 5 or 6 regular rotation guys, plus some other guys, and they still went out there. They didn't let the distraction of Joel's performance take away from them going out there and taking care of business as well, which is just as important as the 70 points.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big part of it, getting the win on top of it. They now have won 6 straight games, right? So, like, not only is this game, it's like the pinnacle of what's going on right now within Sixers basketball, but they've also won 6 games in a row. They've gone 7-3 in their last 10. Like, they are playing their best basketball of the season, and that's without guys like D-Melt, right? Some of the role players mixed in. No Marcus Morris last night. So when you look at it, man, you look at the way Embiid's playing, and then you have to take a look at Maxey as well because he's making his all-star candidacy.
Right.
And, the selflessness of the team last night. Guy like Maxey, who is trying to fight to become an all-star, right? Like, there's a lot of good guards in the East that he needs to keep up with if he really, really wants to make that all-star team. And nights like last night, he has the maturity in him at 23 years old, 22 years old, to sit back in the back seat, right, and just let Embiid drive the whip. And that was impressive within itself as well, man.
Everybody was unselfish, but Daniel House last night.
Yeah, Daniel House. It's funny, man. He's a goofy guy, man. He did it twice.
I'm a huge Daniel House fan just because
I love his energy.
His attitude is always on par. He was like, "Screw this! I'm jacking this shot up. I don't care what's going on here." Then this is a fun comment from Eric here. Well, the full circle with Brett Brown part is fun. Brett Brown being in the building. I know Brett Brown there's a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of Sixers fans of Brett Brown. I don't hold it. Now, I can look back and be like, all right, it's far enough behind me, whatever. But there's that little, video after the game of him with Joel and then Robert Covington and who else and Korkmaz was in the video as well. It's like the process coming full circle there. I mean, there was just a lot of special moments last night, and it doesn't even count the fact that it was the real point of the game. The real reason why I was excited about the game was because of the Embiid Wembanyama matchup for the first time. And that's like the 4th story now on that game.
No, I agree, man. And that's what I was most looking forward to last night. Just seeing a guy like Wemby, who is just so lanky, right? He's just his physique and his talent, his skill set is just so different, so unicorn-like, right? Like those of Embiid, Porzingis, Giannis, these type of just big animals in basketball, right? But it was exciting still just seeing how this played out. And I thought it was cool because it was almost like Wemby got a christening from Joel Embiid, right? Gets the 70 dropped on his head. And when you get to see something like that as a young man coming into the league, seeing the capabilities of this young Cameroonian brother that came over, didn't start playing basketball until, very late in his life and still is able to master it at this point to score 70 points at the highest level. That should be very, very inspiring for Wemby. And I saw his interview after the game. He said it was, and that he looks forward to, getting to that level at some point. And then Embiid came back, gave him a comment as well. He said, he actually said, I can't wait until I don't have to guard him, and then he can go out there and do the stuff that I was doing last night. And that was Embiid paying a note. Wemby, 33 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks in this game. Like, he balled out too. It's just when you got a 70 burger on the other side, it's hard to pay attention to it. But
I
he's
love
a hell of a
Mr.
player, man.
comment. You know, it's similar to when Hakeem schooled Shaq when he was a young man, Shaquille O'Neal with the Orlando Magic. We'll get back to the Sixers in a second. I just want your thought. I don't know how much you've watched a Wembanyama. I've only seen the highlights before last night, and I mean he was very impressive in his minutes restriction amount of playing time, never more than 4 or 5 minutes at a time, whatever on the court. I mean the guy is not just hype. He's the real deal. Like there is legit, as long as he stays healthy and stays the course, he is going to be a star in the NBA. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think it's on the walls, man. It's written on the walls because this dude, I mean, you just look at his prowess for the game, like his IQ, right? He plays basketball the right way. He's playing for Popovich. He has to play basketball the right way. And he's learning from the best. He's learning from a guy that did work with David Robinson and Tim Duncan, two Hall of Famers, two of the best big men of all time. So with that, type of surrounding cast around him with Popovich leading the way, I think he is destined for greatness. When you look at some of the stuff that he's been able to do this, it takes me back to like Giannis when he first came in the league. He was that physical specimen. He was lengthy. He was a little slimmer than what he is right now. If Wemby can bulk up like Giannis did, he already has better touch, better shot making ability than Giannis. Like he has a better skill set than Giannis, right?
Yeah.
Like Giannis is a great player. He's a strong player. Right. Wemby has to get his strength up. He has to turn into a grown man, and that's going to take time, right? But that's the way I look at him. He looks like he has a build of Giannis, but longer, taller, and he can shoot the ball better. He can score the ball better, right? Score. Let me not say score. He can shoot the ball better because Giannis could score that thing. But when you look at Wemby, the sky is the limit. I mean, defensive players of the year awards, right? Those are in his future. But then you just all he has to do is just add that strength, man. Bulk up like Giannis did, like Embiid did. Chet, he's gonna have to bulk up too. He's in this class as well.
A lot of skinny, frail dudes that come out of college right now.
They gotta get that weight up, man. They gotta get that.
Somebody's gotta teach these.
Embiid almost put a hole in his chest last night, so he's got to bulk up quite a bit before he can hang with the big boys like Jokic and Embiid. But he's on his way, man. He's well on his way. Seriously though.
Yeah, I mean seriously, it's accurate though. Did you all change down pop for the ball like Giannis against Pacers? I don't know, Brett. All right, let's. So obviously the 70 burgers are great. It's a great story. We're gonna keep touching on it all show long. Especially the fact that I don't think enough is brought up the fact that last night was the anniversary of Kobe's 81-point game.
Yeah.
So no one talks about that. That's like something special
ironic,
right
man.
there. It really is. But anyway, the Sixers are a pretty damn good basketball team right now. They're really doing things the right way. The Nick Nurse experiment is going well so far, but everybody wants to talk about the trade deadline. That's all that everybody wants to talk about. It's getting closer and closer. And I go both ways on this. And I think we've chatted a little bit on social media about it a few times. And somebody asked in the comments earlier in the show before you got here, about the culture and the locker room right now. As this team's constructed, without any trades happening, is this Sixers team, once everybody comes back, everybody gets healthy and all, is this team a team that can compete for the Eastern Conference? At least get past the second round as currently constructed?
Yeah, I think the simple answer is yes, honestly. And I think when you're looking at the equation of the Sixers right now this season, right now, they can go through if they get the right path to getting to the champ. They could win the championship. It's not out of this world for that to happen when you have the best player in the world on your roster, along with an all-star and Tyrese Maxey, right? And I think the downside or the kind of hidden point here is Nick Nurse and Tobias Harris, right? Like, because that's where the trade deadline and, if there's a big move to be made, it would be swapping out Tobias Harris and bringing somebody else in. And I think the hope for Sixers fans right now, and I know it's going to sound redundant, crazy, but you just have to hope that Nick Nurse can get more out of Tobias consistently. You have to hope that Patrick Beverley and his influence on this team can get more out of guys like Tobias. Marcus Morris, right? Nick Batum, these veterans that have been around championship contending teams, it's up to them to get the most out of these other guys consistently. And that's Tobias, that's Tyrese Maxey stepping up in the postseason. But what I would say, you have a coach that's been there recently. I think that's a big part, right? Like, not just been there like Doc Rivers, but been there in the last 5 to 6 years is a big deal for me with Nick Nurse. And he's got this thing running like a well-oiled machine. So to answer your question simply, I would say yes. Now, the caveat to saying yes in this case without making any trades at the trade deadline, things would have to play out in the Sixers' favor. That's the difference, right? If you make a trade at the trade deadline to bring in somebody that fits better, maybe it's a 6-man option or somebody to upgrade D'Anthony Melton in the starting lineup, whatever the case may be, that's where you can push it to where now you don't have to worry about your path. You can control your own destiny as long as Embiid stays healthy. You can win the NBA championship. And I think that's what the Sixers need to push for right now after seeing what Embiid did last night, after seeing the way Embiid's playing this season. The first goal, get Embiid healthy to the postseason, right? That's the first goal. The second goal is to build this roster as tough as you can to go and compete for a championship right now. The time is right now to go out there and get it, because you look around the Eastern Conference, man, of course, the Bucks, they got Dame, they got Giannis, but there's something not clicking there, right? Like if you kept up with the Bucks this season, they're the second seed in the East. They have a great record, but there's just something not clicking there. They don't look like they're having the fun that the Sixers are having.
Exactly.
The Celtics, they're a juggernaut. We know that, right? And that's going to be the team you have to get through in the East. But right now, let me put it this way. If this team was in the situation that the 2021 Sixers were in, where they went to where did they go before they played Atlanta? Why is that slipping my mind?
Before Atlanta,
they played
you're talking
Atlanta.
about
They played the Wizard,
that's
and
right,
then they got
right,
the Atlanta Hawks the second round. They could get to the Eastern Conference Finals with a path like that, right? That's what I mean, where things play out in their favor. But if they could improve the team at the deadline, they don't have to worry about things like that. They can go straight through the playoffs.
And you said something really interesting. One little phrase you said there. That is why, like, I think this team is good right now. And you know me for a long time, I'm not a Daryl Morey fan. And I have not had faith in Daryl Morey through most of his tenure here. But his move he made, getting rid of Harden finally, brought in a fantastic group of guys like Morris, Batum, Rocco, who's been out for a little while now. But these guys, they fit the role. Like I was saying before you joined the show, I don't know if you heard it, like I'm getting 2001 Sixers vibes. I know it's a little, before your time as a Sixers fan, but where you had
kind of that was my christening into Sixers, hardcore fandom with Allen Iverson. Yeah, that was my christening.
That was like you had your role players. Everyone was bought in. Everybody knew what they were doing. And that's the kind of vibes I get because of the move that Daryl Morey made to bring these guys in. But you said a few moments ago, now's the chance to go all in. Like, you've got that opportunity, and that's why my eyes are like, I don't trust Morey to make the move, but he's the guy in charge. He's got to make the move, and he's got to make the right moves to go all in right now. And that brings up the question, what is the right move? And I think you bring up a great point with replacing D'Anthony Melton in the starting lineup. I like D'Anthony Melton. I'm a real big fan of his game, but I don't think he was ever meant to be a starter, at least not regularly. And I think he gets exposed being a starter. He's perfect coming off the bench. So you got option one there, upgrade him somehow. Option two, I kind of feel like you need another ball handler because outside of Pat Beverly on the bench, you've got nobody else. And option three to upgrade this team, and I know it sucks to say it, but Joel Embiid is still going to miss games. And I think we're fine at the backup center with Paul Reed when Joel Embiid's playing. But I don't think Paul Reed, I think he gets exposed. When he's got to start 3, 4, 5 games in a row and play starter minutes, I don't think he can handle that role. Where are you on the positions that need to be upgraded before we get into specific players?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said there. I think with that trade with the Clippers, you got the 3-and-D guys that you want, and then you can just pick through those guys which ones you want to keep. I would keep at least two of the three of those guys, or no, you got four guys in there with KJ Martin too. Rumors are that they were trying to trade KJ Martin as well, which I think
saw
is
that
fair
too.
to
That's
him.
pretty new, yeah.
He has a little bit of potential, and I just think it can't be tapped with this Sixers team. So I think that is fair to him. But when you look at Morris, Batum, and then Rocco, I think Rocco is the obvious one. As much as we love him, if he has to be included in a trade package, he's injured right now. He's not contributing anything to the rotation, so he would be the easiest one to remove from the equation there. When I look at Marcus Morris, that's where the line gets a little fuzzy, man, because I do love Marcus Morris on this team, even without playing. Like I love him on the bench. I love his mentor, his leadership, but he's also being paid $17 million. So you don't get paid $17 million to show leadership and dog from the bench. So I will say he has been better. He's shooting like 41% from the 3-point line right now, which is great for him. But if it came down to it, right? Like if I can get this said player like a DeJounte Murray or Malcolm Brown, whatever, we'll go down the line of names that we can go through later. But he's not going to stop me from getting that player that I feel like could complete the team, is what I'm trying to say. Batum, I'm not trading. He's not getting traded. His IQ is just too high. His fit with the team is too good. The way his synergy with Embiid, it's just too good of a connection for me to break that up. I think that type of player could be the difference in the margins come the postseason, right? So Batum, I'm not trading. Let me put it this way. The guys that I'm not trading, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre is just his contract is just too financially great for you to trade him. There's no point in that. Kelly Oubre, Nicholas Batum, and Patrick Beverley are the three other guys that I am not trading on this roster. The thing with Tobias Harris, I will say this: we're relying on hope that Nick Nurse can get the most out of him. And I will say that he has looked like a more confident player this year, but we've seen this before. Am I trying my hardest to move Tobias Harris? No, I'm not trying to get him out the door. I'm not pushing him out the door at this point. Just because chemistry, I think he's too big of a part of the team for you to kind of trade that in the middle of a season, in my opinion. And I think it would hurt guys like Maxey. I think it would hurt guys like Embiid that do actually love playing with Tobias, despite what fans and the rest of the world think. So I don't think I would be hell-bent on trading Tobias. And the other thing I would say is no more than two players. Like I'm not trading more than two players. I don't need a switch out of like 3 for 4 players. Like we don't need that many new players added to this team. We need 1 or 2 guys that are ready to go and be added to this rotation. But I would agree with you. Backup ball handler is a big thing. Even if you keep Deem out, I'm not saying trade him either. I'm just saying upgrade him in the starting lineup.
Well, see, I actually would have more of a and I'm a big D Melt fan. I have been since the day we traded for him. I would be more adept to trading him than I would Marcus Morris. I know the money aspect of it you brought up is a fair point, but you also got to think about chemistry and experience. And someone said it here a few comments ago. Morris in the playoffs. Imagine him going up against Jalen Brown or something. It's something we've been lacking, and I value what Marcus Morris brings to the team, but also a little selfishly, I've always wanted at least one of the Morris twins to have a run in Philly. I love Philly basketball. I just love, that he's a hometown boy playing on his team. For that part, I'm a little selfish. I'm a little biased in it, but I think what he brings to the table in the leadership, the toughness, stuff like that, I'd be more willing to move Melton right now than Marcus Morris, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think when you pose that question that way, or when you pose that statement that way, you have to think back to when you're looking at Marcus Morris and DeAnthony Melton. All I can think back to is that series against Boston, Game 6, Melton wide open in the corner, 3 or 4 times in a row at the end of the game, and just airballing. So big moment. We needed him to hit shots, and that's all I can remember about D Melton. I'm with you. I love his skill set. I think when he's hot, he can be a starter, but he's just so inconsistent. And when you get to that point about this conversation, you have to ask yourself, if Marcus Morris is wide open in the corner, or if DeAnthony Melton is wide open in the corner, and you need a big shot, you need somebody to hit a big shot off a Joel Embiid double team, who are you trusting to hit that shot? I think I'm trusting Marcus Morris at this point. honestly. Just
D-Melt and
where he's
Rocco
been in
for
his career,
Bogey.
shot
D-Melt
making
and Rocco
ability.
for Bogey and Hunter.
Yeah, I mean that would be
Yeah.
beautiful. I don't know. It's D-Melt and Rocco and draft compensation
Yeah,
for
and
Bogey
draft.
and
You
Hunter
got to
would
throw some
probably
draft
get it done.
competition
Yeah,
in there for sure. Yeah, I mean, I something that I forget who said it. I don't know if it was Sean Bernard or Zach Noble. Somebody said it recently in a conversation they were having on social media about the trade deadline, the Sixers. You got to think about what was this team lacking the most the last couple playoff runs.
yeah,
That guy that can shoot, is going to make that knock down that third guy that you 100% confidence can
get a
get that
bucket.
shot off, and
Yeah,
toughness.
yeah,
So you kind of got to upgrade that extra shooter or that ball handler or upgrade Melton or whatever, and you can't get rid of the toughness.
yeah,
Everyone keeps saying Batum is giving us what we expected out of PJ Tucker. I kind of say Batum and Marcus Morris are
yeah,
giving us. We're basically getting two what we thought we were getting from PJ Tucker,
yeah,
instead of one. That's why I don't want to move on from those guys because they bring us something that come playoff time in a best of 7
yeah,
series. When you're in a dogfight with Boston or Giannis, like we don't need now come playoff time. You won't need Joel Embiid going one-on-one with Giannis,
yeah,
on the perimeter like
yeah.
we've seen in previous years because you've got Batum or Morris who can play that tough role there in that
Yeah.
situation.
It's fun. You bring up a great point with that because I immediately thought of the Bucks. I thought of a guy like Bobby Portis who could,
Mhm.
come in. He brings a lot of energy. He's a dog, right? He plays physical. He can get hot. He can, hit a few threes for the Bucks. Get rebound. Like he gets in there. He's a glue guy for them, right? And so when I look on the opposite end, I'm like, man, could I see a point where, maybe Bobby Portis is just going to work on Paul Reed in the second unit, right? And maybe you have to throw a dog in there like Marcus Morris to match that energy. And that's exactly what you're talking about there as well. And that's what I believe. And then you look at Morris, I mean, he's getting better as the season goes on. He didn't play when he was in LA, right? So he's getting better. So I don't even know that we've seen the best we can get from Marcus Morris as well, because I mean, he's shooting 41% from the 3-point line, but 6 points per game. I mean, it's going to get better as time goes on and he plays more with these guys. So I do feel you. I think Rocco, Jaden Springer, D-Melt, those are the types of guys that you're really trying to look to move here at the trade deadline. You're not trying to move a guy like Tobias. You're not trying to move guys like Batum. And I think Marcus Morris, while I don't think that he will be a stopping point if another team says we need Marcus Morris involved in this deal. I don't think he's going to be a stopping point for a trade you want to get done, but he is one of the guys that are closer to that group of 5 that I wouldn't want to trade, right? And that's the point here.
So, and Eric here bringing up an interesting name because I was going to bring up, you brought up KJ Martin as a potential trade guy and how he just doesn't fit. And that kind of brings into the equation, like everyone's always upset that we let go of Isaiah Joe too soon. We didn't have time to develop Isaiah Joe. We were trying to win an NBA title. We didn't know. Paul Reed is a guy. I mean, he's a really solid backup of Joel. I already said it when Joel is playing, in that 8 to 10 to 12-minute spurt, but he can't start. Is Paul Reed valuable in a trade to a young team? Like everyone, we're going to talk about the Bulls because of Levine, DeRozan, Caruso, all those guys. A young team that's ready to rebuild, would they want a Paul Reed like as an enticing part of a trade pack? Does he have any trade value, Paul Reed? Because Eric brings him up here.
It's interesting. I mean, he has to have some trade value. I just don't know if it's going to be as high as maybe some Sixers fans hold him here in Philadelphia. But he has to have some value because you look at him in the offseason, he was a restricted free agent, and the Utah Jazz did go in and submitted an offer for him for a good amount, right? And the Sixers had to ultimately match that or surpass it to retain him, and they did so. But the Jazz, a young rebuilding team built around Lauri Markkanen, they were looking to add Paul Reed to the mixture there. And I do think a young guy like Paul Reed who just works really hard, right? His motto is out the mud, and a guy that just really hustles, that can feed in really well with a young and rebuilding team. And honestly, if we're being completely honest, right? Like take out all of our bias towards Paul Reed. We love him, right? Like we love him as a guy. Like he's a cool, he works hard. He's built for the city, but it's almost like it would need to be like 3 years from now, if that makes sense, right? Like he's
But
just
we're not
he hasn't
trying to
had the
win 3
time
years
to
from now. We're
develop.
trying to win. We're trying to win now.
Exactly.
We're trying to go all in.
Exactly.
All the chips are in right now. And even though I was against it earlier, now I'm kind of thinking, you're right. This is the moment. You've got your chance. This is your moment. You got to put and as
Yeah.
imagine Marcus Morris being Matt Geiger as the guy that stopped the massive deal. Exactly. I mean, it's you're joking, but you're dead spot on with that,
Yeah.
Mark, because you can't. We're going all in here.
Yeah.
We got to.
They
And I
need
know
to.
people are worried about chemistry, but honestly, as long as your core three of Embiid, Maxey, and Harris are left intact, I don't think there would ever be an issue with
Yeah.
chemistry, especially with the way Nick Nurse is running the ship right now.
Yeah. And I think you have to also look, because like the other concern would be coming from the outside party. How do they mesh with the guys that are in house right now? And I think that what we have to look at the way Kelly Oubre has embraced this moment, right? Like
Yeah.
there was talk around him. Is he gonna, jack up shots? Is he not gonna be willing to, fit in the team amongst Embiid and realize that he's not, the star of this team like he was in Charlotte? And he came in and he just wants to win. Like he just wants to be part of a winning team, right? He just wants to earn his next contract, of course, but he's also enjoying this winning culture and what they're doing here. And so when I look at all of these players that are being talked about around the league, we're not talking about guys getting traded from like Boston or getting traded from LA or Miami. Like we're talking about guys getting traded from Chicago, Utah, Toronto, right? Like these are teams that are not contending this year. The Portland Trailblazers with Malcolm Brogdon, right? Malcolm Brogdon would be ecstatic to get off the Portland Trailblazers and go compete for a championship. So I think even when you look at the outside looking in, you bring in, let's just say DeRozan. He's not my favorite option out there, but DeRozan, you don't think he would be happy to get out of Chicago and come play in Philadelphia for a chance to win a championship? With Nick Nurse, like that, you can go down the list, every single guy on the list. I mean, Atlanta Hawks, you don't think guys are happy to get out of there and come compete? Like the Sixers are this destination now. I feel people are going to want to play with Joel Embiid. They're going to want to play with Tyrese Maxey and play under Nick Nurse. And so to that point, I think guys are going to come in, whoever you trade for, and they're going to be willing to find their role within the team and figure it out because they know that's what it's going to take to win. You have to hope that that's the case, and I have to hope that Daryl Morey can identify guys like that as well, right?
All right, so let's talk about specific players. And you brought up Brogdon. You texted me or DM'd me yesterday, Brogdon, and I love the idea. I just looked; he's making $22 million this year and next year. So you'd have to match that salary, but I think that would be pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then you could slide Melton to the bench, like you said, and unless Melton was involved in that trade. And I think you would have a better backcourt with Maxey and Brogdon starting, with Melton and Beverly both coming off the bench and currently situated. Everybody looks at the Bulls, and we've seen a lot of comments in the comment section of Bulls players: DeRozan, Levine, Caruso. The list goes on and on from Chicago as the main guy, but we're not the only team calling Chicago. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys calling Chicago.
Yeah.
So when I ask this question, you've got to answer in a sense where you're also taking into account what the value of these trades are going to be. You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to move as much as it takes to get Zach LaVine? Are you willing to move? I think Alex Caruso is going to be way overvalued in what he gets traded for, conversation. Are you doing business with the Bulls right now?
I would do business with the Bulls, but I would do it for players that aren't DeRozans, Levines, or even Alex Caruso's. I would do it for guys like your commenter mentioned there. I can't remember his name, but he said Kobe White, who's a great option for that backup ball handler or starting next to Matt. I mean, those two guys' quickness. Now, it's not ideal size-wise, I will say that. I would like somebody a little bit bigger, but when you look at what he would bring to this team, quickness, get into the rack, he can shoot the three. He's a guy that I would love to add to the mix. And then the hope with a guy like Kobe White, you get Andre Drummond packaged in that deal somehow as the backup big for Embiid. And that would be a very ideal package from Chicago. I'm not overpaying for Caruso, man. I do like Caruso. I get where people think he would be maybe even a better fit than DeAnthony Melton. I can agree with that. I think he's, just a little bit more sturdy, has a little bit better IQ. But I don't know. His scoring prowess worries me, if that makes sense. Like the fit beside Maxey, I would love a guy that can shoot 40+% from the 3-point line. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Right.
I want to add not only a ball handler, but I do want to add a pure shooter, somebody who can space the floor, somebody that can hit, 3 to 4 threes in one said game. And that's where you look at guys like Bogdanovich, right? Both of the Bogdanoviches, right, from Detroit and Atlanta. Those are guys that I'm looking at there that can handle the ball, but then also hit their own shots. Bogdanovich in Atlanta, Bogdan, he can get his own shot anywhere on the court, and he takes over 8 threes a game. I mean, that is more than
I remember watching that last Hawks game against the Sixers
40%.
and being like, that last Sixers game against them, I'm like, that's what we need on this team.
Somebody who's unconsciously shooting. Like, he doesn't think about it, and that's what I want. I honestly want somebody like that that's going to let it fly next to Embiid and Maxey.
So you're all out. You're not making a move. I know somebody joked that no one's actually calling on LaVine right now. I know Zach LaVine is hurt again. I know there is a portion of Sixers Nation that wants another third superstar, which Zach LaVine would qualify as that third superstar. I'm not going all in for a superstar. I'm not trading 3 first-round picks and the contracts it takes to do that. And honestly, I like Zach LaVine. He's a great player, but I think he's one step down, from that elite category that he's, considered. You're not making a move for Zach LaVine, are you?
I'll be honest with you, man, and I might get crucified for this, but I look at Zach LaVine and I get like signs of like Tobias Harris. Like, they're different players. They have different skill sets, by all means. They do. And I would say, Zach LaVine is a little bit better. His peak is a little bit better than Tobias Harris, obviously, with his athleticism, his shot making ability. But the inconsistency, the ability to disappear on a given night against a good team, right? Like, those are the situations that I've seen in Chicago where this guy isn't always ready to step up and go and try to win games for that team. I've seen Kobe White step up to the plate more for that team than Zach LaVine. I've seen DeMar DeRozan step up to the plate more than Zach LaVine on that team. And I'll even go this far, man. I don't love the DeRozan fit, but I like DeRozan's personality. I like DeRozan's durability. I like his IQ. I like his leadership a lot more with this team than Zach LaVine. Not trying to shit on Zach LaVine. I just think, along with the injury history, along with the inconsistency in his play, I'm not giving up, Tobias Harris plus Rocco plus 3 first-round picks to get, Zach LaVine and Andre Drummond. I would rather just keep Tobias and get Andre Drummond and, give up minimal to get him. So, like,
I love how you start that with, I'm going to get shit on for saying this.
I will.
I love it because I think you are spot on with the Tobias Harris comparison there. I really do. And I've never thought of it like that. I don't.
Tobias is already here too.
What's that?
Tobias is already here. He already fits with the team. He's already, built that chemistry. So even to that point, you could say that Tobias is better for this team. Zach LaVine would be having to figure stuff out on the fly.
Yep. And I love this comment from Marshawn. Not that one. Where is it? Where was the comment? I thought I saw a comment. I'm looking for a specific. Basically, someone said, there it is. No to LaVine. 2 All-Stars and a deep surrounding cast is the new NBA. And I agree with that 100%. You don't need, when you have 3 stars, the how it straps you cap-wise and building a proper roster, how many times, I mean, look at what Denver did. You said it in the comments, Aaron Gordon was their 3rd star. They built a team around their leaders and their stars. And their 2nd All-Star, Jamal Murray, doesn't even stay healthy most of the time.
Right.
So they build a proper team around their MVP caliber star. I think that is the way the NBA might be trending. So the Sixers don't need to go all in and get a LaVine. I've been against LaVine since day one. Or any. I don't even know if there's any other stars on the LaVine level that are available right now. But I wouldn't be moving all in for them because I don't think you need to.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with you. There's only there's only a few select guys that I would be open to, and obviously they're probably not going to be available. The one that comes to mind, and mind you, this team is playing out of their minds. They're not going to trade this guy. They're going to extend him. But Paul George, there was rumors that arose maybe a week or so ago about him, and
didn't even click the links on it.
Yeah, and I'm not, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like we're going to get Paul George. We're not.
Right.
He's a guy that's going to want to stay in LA. He's going to want to stay on the West Coast. He's from there. He's late in his career. So, but to give you an example of a guy that maybe I would trade Tobias in 2 first-round picks for, it would be a guy like that that I think could seamlessly fit next to Embiid and Maxey. I think he would
Right.
complement them very well. But I'm with you. I'm kind of looking. I don't want to say in the margins because guys like DeJounte, I don't think we're going to get DeJounte. It sounds like that's trending.
That was the next question I was going to bring up was the DeJounte name. So I know he's a hot rumor.
That's probably
for a
the
lot of
biggest
NBA
star.
teams. His price is going to be up there.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah, I think it is. And it doesn't feel like Morey likes that type of player at the same time, right? Like it just doesn't seem like it fits what the Sixers are looking for based on the other guys that are being talked about. So DeJounte, I would say for me, that is like the biggest tier of star that I would go after. I think he's a little bit under Zach LaVine even, but I would take DeJounte over Zach LaVine with that being said. Like,
what do you think the DeJounte, because we see somebody here, Mista saying Maxey needs a shooting guard with the speed to run with him in the open court. My biggest concern is the Murray Maxey. Would they gel well enough in the backcourt? Is that a good pairing right there in the backcourt?
I think with DeJounte buying into Nick Nurse and the system and the team, I think it could be one of the better pairings because I do think DeJounte balances Maxey out. Like, what our thoughts of Maxey? Maxey's a growing player. We don't know the ending result of Tyrese Maxey and what type of player he's going to be. But in our minds, we have this guy that was playing beside Harden, right? Getting into open spots on the court, hitting open shots, taking advantage of, the defense being off balance, get into the rim and scoring the ball that way. We've seen him take another leap this year in his ability. But what I see with DeJounte Murray, if you added him to the picture, you take Maxey off the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not just taking the ball out of his hands. I'm not saying that, but I think he's a guy that could work off ball a little bit more. I think he's very successful in that role too. And I think DeJounte, you could put him a little bit more on ball. He can play make. He can handle the ball. And he's lengthy. He's tall. He's 6'5", right? Like he can guard the taller guards and some of the forwards as well from that 2-guard spot, or you can call him the point guard, whatever you want to call him. But I do think they would balance each other out well. And the thing that makes DeJounte so appealing is that since he got to Atlanta, he's been shooting the 3 ball above 38% from the field. So when he can shoot like that from the 3-point line, that makes him a very, very good ad. But I do think the ship has kind of sailed on that. I just don't think think that, like you said, that's going to be too big of a move.
What would it take from the Sixers? Because I got my man Zach from PSN saying he would love to bring him in, but it's a big ask. Like, what would it cost? Obviously, you have to match salaries, obviously. Yeah. But you would have to include all 3 first-round picks that we have that are tradable right now. Would you not?
I think to beat out the other teams that want DeJounte. It's not that DeJounte's worth that, but to beat out the market, yeah, I think that's what the Sixers would have to do because the simple truth is Atlanta's not, sitting here salivating over, a Jaden Springer of the world or, one of our younger, even a Paul Reed. I know that's not really in the conversations, but like nobody's salivating over that for DeJounte Murray, right? So you're going to have to overcompensate with draft compensation.
So here's the thing, like, and I don't know if I'm reading this right. Am I reading? He's a free agent at the end of the season as well.
DeJounte?
I just went to Spot Track, or however you say it, and it lists him as. Oh no, never mind. I didn't pay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got an
no. Sorry. For some reason, there was a gap in the page. It looked like he was a free agent, but no, he is under contract for a few years, and honestly, his contract's really, really reasonable. So it wouldn't take a lot to match salaries. You could get away with a few young players.
Yeah,
but yeah, are you really ready to put 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, maybe,
right?
Maybe, I don't know. And no to this, Ket.
If it was,
Lowry back in Philly.
Nah,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm good.
I saw him in the playoffs last year, man. That boy is gassed.
Yeah, no non-explosive guy. Pat Bev is like the oldest guy that we need in our backcourt, right? Like, and Pat Bev, that's no diss to Pat Bev. He's playing great this year, but don't need a Kyle Lowry. DeJounte, 3 first round.
I don't know what was up with Spot Track there. It definitely. I saved it. It definitely looked like he was a free agent the way
With
they did it.
DeJounte, Phil, it's interesting because the only thing that makes you want to hesitate on it is what will become available in the offseason. And that being said, the free agents that are available, I'm not interested in at all,
Right.
right? Like Kawhi's been extended. He's not going to be a free agent. Paul George, probably not going to be a free agent. He's not going to come here anyways.
James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden. Yeah. Tobias Harris, right? Like these are your free agents. So I'm not like super intrigued by the free agent class, but it's not to say that guys won't get disgruntled and want out of the place that they're at come the off season. Guys like KD, right? Those come to mind. And a couple of other guys around the league. You just have to hope that that falls your way. But that's when you have to ask yourself, if you're Daryl Morey, if I go in right now, can we go for this right now? And that's the balancing act. Because I think when you ask yourself, should you give up 3 firsts for DeJounte? Or do you give up 1 first and DeAnthony Melton for Malcolm Brogdon? Or, whatever it would take to get Malcolm Brogdon. Maybe you go for a little bit less. Maybe it's an older player, a little bit older, doesn't have the same name as DeJounte, but guys like Brogdon, Tyus Jones, I think these type of guys that fit within the margins, they can be a players that can excel this team to where they're trying to get.
Those players can push this team over the top, but
Yeah.
also leave you the flexibility that if after the season it doesn't work out, you still have something to trade. You're not cap strapped for the next 5 years or whatever. It gives you that flexibility. You got to go all in, but I guess cautiously you still have to think big picture, right?
Have to be smart because DeJounte, he's a good player, but is he a superstar you give up 3 first-round picks for? Like, for your money.
There was a time that me and you did a show where we talked about Ben Simmons for DeJounte Murray back in that day. And we had the same conversation about Murray then that we're having now.
Yeah. And I just, you look at the other trades that have happened so far, like a Pascal Siakam, and you have to ask yourself, like, would you pay more for DeJounte Murray than And DeJounte Murray's a better fit for the Sixers specifically, but I'm just generally speaking from the NBA perspective. Would you be willing to give up more to get Pascal Siakam than DeJounte Murray? Yeah. Like, do you think that DeJounte is a better player than Pascal?
Yeah, that Siakam deal I thought was a little big. Same with Siakam and the OG Anunoby deal. I mean, they were both guys a lot of Sixers fans. I knew Siakam was never come to Philly because from everything I read, him and Nick Nurse did not see eye to eye from what I read. But they got a lot for those guys, and I think that set the market. What guys DeJounte, Zach LaVine are going to go for.
Yeah.
And I'm not, once you sent me that message last night about Brogdon, I was like, I didn't think about Brogdon being available. And I haven't been able to get my mind off of that as the perfect complementary piece in the backcourt for this team.
You saw him on the Celtics last year, right? He killed us.
Yeah. I've been watching him for a while, even before he went to the Celtics.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Sixers to add somebody like him. It's
when
weird
he was on
how,
the Pacers.
Years after years, you see the same guys always linked to the Sixers. And Brogdon is one of those guys that I've wanted here for a long time. Real quick, before we continue on here, guys, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, share button, subscribe button, and make sure you shoot my man Scotty a follow at Scotty Drowned. And also, the DSM Media YouTube page is linked in the bio of the show. Make sure you go subscribe to that channel for me, guys. Scotty, these names, these Bulls names, these certain names, they're the same names. Do you have any other names that are not being talked about a lot that you'd love to see the Sixers bring in?
Yeah, I got
Bruce Brown mentioned just now in the comments.
Bruce Brown. See, Bruce Brown is another guy almost like Caruso, where I just think he's just going to get outpriced. Like he's going to outprice his actual market, and I just don't think Morey's going to be willing to do that. I'll give you this list of guys I have written down here. The one thing I will point out before Daryl Morey, he was in a recent interview. I think it was with 97.5, but I may be wrong there. He had said that basically contenders wait until closer to the deadline to make their moves because they're not going to overpay and they're trying to fill margins. Whereas the teams that are trying to become contenders are the teams that you'll see overspending right now, like the New York Knicks, the Indiana Pacers. Like, great moves for them. Are they contending for an NBA championship right now? For my money, no, right? So I did love what Daryl Morey said about that, and I do agree with him. I think as we get closer to the deadline, you start to press these lesser teams. They have to get rid of these guys somewhere, right? They have to give them to somebody. And that's when you start getting deals that you're more fond of. But we mentioned the DeJountes, the Malcolm Brogdons, the DeMar DeRozans, the Bojan, Bruce Brown. But the other guys, I got 4 names here. Obviously, I mentioned Tyus Jones. He's more of a popular name as well, but that's a guy that I have ties to.
You've been mentioning him for a long time. I know you like him.
I mean, you know what is appealing about Tyus Jones? He is a guy that is not going to step out of place on this team. Like I talked about Tyrese Maxey while Joel Embiid's on a heater, knowing his role. Tyus Jones, the same exact thing. He's not going to jack up a bunch of shots. He's going to be efficient. He's going to take care of the basketball, and that's what we need. 13 points per game, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 51% from the field, 42% from the three-point line for Tyus Jones on a nice contract, man. For a nice backup ball handler. Another guy, this one's a really low key, but it's a guy I've seen in rumors recently. Herb Jones from the New Orleans Pelicans. He's a younger guy. He's lengthy. Now, I had concerns when I first thought about it just because of the shooting prowess. He does need to get better, but he is shooting 38% from the three-point line this season. 45, 38, and 85 for Herb Jones. 1.2 steals per game. He's averaging 11 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. So another guy who I think would complement Maxey, can handle the ball a little bit, but maybe, not at the top of the list. That would be more of a guy that maybe you can get closer to the deadline within the margins, but a younger guy with some great potential. 2 bigs, obviously Andre Drummond, but the other one that I actually love for the Sixers and I think would give them a different facet when Embiid comes off the court is Kelly Olynyk. I think out of Utah, he would be a really, really interesting fit in this Sixers team. Now, obviously, he doesn't bring the defensive prowess. He tries really hard. He doesn't bring the defensive prowess that maybe a Paul Reed would, but if you have both as an option, that would be great, right, as a backup big. But the thing with Olynyk that I like, kind of what you said about when Embiid is out, can you give Olynyk a ball in a spot and him be able to get, his shot off? And that's something from Olynyk that I've seen over the years. He does know how to score the ball. He can score the ball from the center position.
I kind of can't believe he's still in the NBA, but he just keeps he's just one of those guys, like, if you saw him walking down the street, you wouldn't think NBA player. But the guy has hung around for 100 years, man.
He's fundamentally sound, man. He's fundamentally
that's exactly
sound.
what I'd say. Very fundamental.
Yeah.
Knows
and
his role, plays well.
I think he could excel in Nick Nurse's scheme as well. I think Nick Nurse could get a lot out of him. But he's averaging 8 points per game this season, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 55, 41, 86 shooting from the field. So 41% from the three-point line, which is
that's a great comment. You could actually play Olynyk next to Joel, too.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's the thing. And that gives me something. We saw last night for I think it was 2 minutes. All offseason, all we heard about was Paul Reed and Joel Embiid were going to be on the floor together at the same time. And I'm like, no, this is not happening. But that's all everybody talked about.
We saw it last night.
2 minutes last night. But Kelly Olynyk could play that role. He could be your 5. He could be a stretch 4 at times. He could do a little bit of everything.
What do you think? I saw this. I believe it was from Mark Stein. It was an article from him, or maybe it was Bobby Marks. It was one of those two, Mark Stein or Bobby Marks. But he basically linked the Sixers to Miles Bridges.
Somebody else said his name in the comments earlier, and I don't know.
I can't. You know what I mean? I can't.
No, I'm right there with you.
I can't.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I don't even know how he's still in the NBA. I really don't.
Yeah,
and
I just, I feel that way about players in his situation in all sports. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
I look at it like, I don't know if you saw this, and I don't even know if it was real or not because I didn't fact check it. Someone brought up Ray Rice was getting inducted into the Ring of Honor for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm like, how do they even go about doing that? Exactly. So that's why I wasn't even sure if it was real or not when I read this, this post from nowadays everybody gets a blue check mark. So, you don't know when it's true or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that was one that baffled me.
Yeah.
A guy on his team that I do like, Terry Rozier, a guy that can handle the ball, score the rock, but once again, on the lower level of targets.
Terry Rozier is a guy that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was still some more potential. At the price he makes, you probably wouldn't.
His contract is bad.
His contract's really bad, which means
horrible.
you probably wouldn't have to give up much to take him. Just salary filler and maybe a pick or something like that. But yeah, I'm I'm staying away from Charlotte, even though Charlotte beat Minnesota last night. Even though Cat, I just love it. I love the fact that Joel drops 70 and wins, and then Cat goes and drops 60 something, and they lose and admit in the locker room. That's a losing mentality. Admitting in the locker room that we lost because we were just feeding the ball to Cat to get him. I think Anthony Edwards said we were trying to get Cat to 100 points last night.
100.
I think that's what I heard him say. Either 80 or 100. He said something like that. Like, that's a losing mentality right there.
It really is, and it just makes you wonder, right? Like, I'm glad that the Sixers didn't do that.
Sorry
right?
about that, Brett. I didn't realize that's what you meant. I just saw the word Bridges and was thinking it. You were meant Mikal Bridges. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Mikal, right? We've had conversations on DSM with Marshawn Lynch and Brett as well. I believe that Mikal is unobtainable. But if he is, I would give up 2 first-round picks and, whatever you need to do to make those. He is a guy I would send it for. I really would.
I don't think he is attainable, though.
He's the perfect fit, but I just think he's not moving from Brooklyn, man. That's the downside. And look, you give up 3 first-round picks to get a guy you draft. That's Sixers full circle stuff right there. That's really, really backwards. Brings you to another guy, Markelle Fultz. There's been people talking about him.
Hey, I've been bringing up Markelle Fultz's name since before his last contract.
Yeah.
People forget about Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz on this team as a backup bench guy, he would help. I don't know. I've always had a special, I don't know. I always wanted him to succeed here. I liked his potential. I was one of the few that liked the draft pick of him. I didn't like trading what we traded to get him, but I like that pick. And I've been following him since the day he left. And he has done so well at just getting better. He's never going to be that number 1 overall pick talent. It's kind of like, what's his name? Got drafted, I think it was by Golden State years and years ago. Joe Smith.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
we're talking way back. He went number 1 overall, never lived up to the hype, had some injuries, then came back and became, I think he even played 1 year in Philly as a backup. He turned himself into a serviceable, really quality NBA player, just never a number 1 overall pick. And that's what Markelle Fultz has done. He can shoot again. He plays great defense. He's a ball handler, gets to the rim. He would be a very cheap get right now.
Yeah.
And Orlando has a plethora of young guards right now. I would be 100% for it.
Yeah, I'm just seeing. Yeah, he's only played 12 games this season. So
Fultz, he just came back from an injury.
Just came back.
He was starting to begin the year. He's coming off the bench now. But I would do it. I would do it.
Yeah.
I think he's only got 1 year left, or he might be in the last year of his deal.
He had his best. He's coming off his best season for sure. So if he could get back to that, that was a pretty good. That's exactly what the Sixers need. But I think the moral of the story here, man, is that there's a lot of different avenues the Sixers could go down. Look at Utah. You could look at Jordan Clarkson, right, as a backup scoring punch off the bench. But there's so many options that are going to be available that are out there that we don't even know about right now. The only thing that I would say about the Sixers is that it cannot be one of these trade deadlines like a George Hill, right? Like it can't be that. Like we need somebody that's going to make an impact on the roster. We need to hit on this move that we make. And there's plenty of options out there. Like if Tyus Jones, if they're asking for a first and you just have to give up 1, is it really that big of a deal to give up your worst first round pick? Like just do it if that's what it takes. Like that's something that will piss me off at the end of the trade deadline if things come out and you weren't willing to give just 1. You wanted to only give up seconds for a Bogdanovich and they just wanted 1 first. Just give it to them and let's go try to win a championship. We don't need to sit here and play around. And there's nothing in the offseason, man, that I'm sitting here salivating over aside from just giving Tyrese Maxey his extension. That's the only thing
that is something you got to take that into account. You still got to extend Maxey too. And John, we touched on this at the beginning. Scotty joined the show about 45 minutes ago. I think they can contend, but you're at a point where you're not just talking about contending. You need to go all in right now because this is the best form of the Sixers we've seen since Allen Iverson was here.
Make yourself one of the favorites at the trade deadline. Right now, they're contending. Right, there's probably 5, 6 teams that you would say can legitimately compete for an NBA championship this year, the Sixers are in that group of 5 or 6. But if
They're
they
not
want to
even
become
like
the
obviously
favorite,
The
like
Celtics are there,
Boston, like Denver,
but would it be a stretch to say that the Sixers staying pat are on the same level of the Milwaukee Bucks, if not a tick higher than the Milwaukee Bucks?
I would say so, because for my money right now, I would, once again, if you guys think this is crazy, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Embiid, I will take over Giannis right now, healthy, right? I'm going to take Embiid. We can go to the next matchup, Dame or Maxey. I'll tell you right now, I'm taking Tyrese Maxey. I'm taking Tyrese Maxey. You can look at the numbers. The numbers are eerily close between them. I'd say Tyrese Maxey is a little more efficient. But Tyrese Maxey's athleticism, he's a little bit bigger than Dame. He's a better defender than Dame. I'll take Tyrese Maxey over Damian Lillard all day. And then you take it down to Tobias and Chris Middleton, man. Chris Middleton is cooked. So I will take Tobias Harris in that case. And so then from there on out, you got to meet the Bucks in the margins, right? And that's where the depth of the role players come in. And you have to hope that a group of Batum, Marcus Morris, who else? Pat Bev, like these guys, D'Anthony Melton, those guys on the roster, they have to be better than the guys like Bobby Portis and Brooke Lopez, right? So that's where you're trying to match the Milwaukee Bucks. If you can just add one more sturdy role player to this team, I think that's when you're really, really cooking. But
I'm not sure if you know why I was laughing there, but you said, you said you would take Maxey over Dame Lillard. Remember, like a year or two ago, multiple times we had conversations on shows. Would you trade Tyrese Maxey for Dame Lillard? And we maybe not. Now we're putting Tyrese Maxey ahead of times have changed so drastically in the NBA and with the Sixers. Like Maxey, I'm glad we didn't trade Tyrese Maxey for Dame Lillard now.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey, man, he's been a revelation this season. Obviously, coming into this year, I knew he was going to have a big year. I have the confidence. His personality, man. It's not about the Sixers. It's not about Philadelphia. It's just about basketball, and he loves the sport. He loves playing basketball. He loves being good at basketball. And something that I've been seeing from Tyrese Maxey this year that I really, really love is his confidence. Almost a little bit of arrogance at times, if you really listen to what he says at times. But I love that in him. He needs that confidence. He needs that arrogance. He needs to know that he's that guy on this team and that he needs to be ready to step up whenever Joel needs him. So I love the confidence and a little bit of arrogance along with his goofy and humble nature that's come out this season.
I got to put this back up here from Mr. Dame's a different animal in the playoffs. Yeah, he's a loser in the playoffs, fair. Isn't he? You know? I know everybody thinks he's this killer, but tell me, when was the last time he won anything in the playoffs, my man? I'm just saying. I know he hit that one big, like 40-foot three to win a game in the playoffs a few years ago. But outside of that,
that's hilarious.
What has Dame ever done in the playoffs? How many titles did Portland hoist up there? How many conference championships did Portland hoist up there? I'm just saying. Scotty knows, Mister. I love Dame. He's always been my favorite NBA player, not on the Sixers, except for now that he's with Milwaukee. But no, what's he want?
Yeah, we wanted Dame because we didn't know what Tyrese Maxey was yet, right? Like we didn't know that he could reach this level this fast. Like maybe we knew that he could reach this level. We didn't know that he could reach it within 2 to 3 years, right? Since he's been drafted. Like this is amazing, and he's hit an all-star type of peak. But I would agree with the commenter there. Like he does need to prove it in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, he does.
Just like Embiid.
That part of the comment is accurate. Yeah, he's still got plenty to prove.
I think that's a big thing for this team. It's like they all just need to get over this hump together, right? Like there's no in between. They should all want it, right? They've all hit this roadblock each and every year together since Maxey's got here, along with Embiid and Tobias. So these guys have to have it in their mind that they got to get past this point. And I expect Maxey, quite honestly. I think when you think of it this way, I think that Embiid, the attention on him is just going to be ramped up times 1,000 in the postseason. We know what's coming for that, right? They're going to play him physical. They're going to double and triple team him. And guess what that means for Maxey? Just be ready to hit open shots. Be ready to drive to the rack, with assertiveness. Just be ready to go because you're going to get a ton of open looks next to Joel Embiid in the postseason when all that attention's drawn to him. And that goes for every single one of these guys. Kelly Oubre, all of these guys, they got to be ready whenever Joel gets them the ball. And that's something that they've shown this season they are, man. And I'm excited. It's an exciting time to be a Sixers fan. I think especially coming off, the dismal Eagles flounder out. I saw a commenter earlier talking about, the Eagles are better than no, they're not. Like, obviously at the beginning of the season, I would have told you differently. Yes, they are coming into that season. They started 10-1. But look at it this way. The Sixers would have to lose and drop down to the 7 seed and play in the play-in tournament and then lose in the first round of the playoffs to hit the mark that the Eagles hit this year, which is just sad to think about. But this team is trending the right way, and I think we should be very, very excited. By the way, just I know you sent this before the show as far as notes coming in. Embiid would have to play 34 of the last 40 games to qualify for MVP. So he could only miss 6 more games this season.
That's pushing
it. A lot to ask.
It's a lot to ask. He's going to need more of those. He's going to need more of those 30-minute games where we just blow opponents out and he can sit entire fourth quarters for that to even be a chance. Hey, Scotty, I promised you first 30 minutes, then we said we'll go till 9:15, and now we're pushing 9:20 here. I love it, man. I
absolutely.
For those that don't know, me and Scotty go way back doing this stuff. So we've been battling on NBA topics for a long time. One final time, where can everybody find you? What you got happening on DSM right now, and what's your schedule this week? If anybody wants to tune into any other shows with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this week I got Scotty Talks NBA later today. That'll come on around 6 p.m. with Zach Noble. That will be right on Scotty Talks NBA YouTube channel. You can just type that in the search bar and you'll find it. As well as the morning show tomorrow with Dylan will be on the Faithful Fanatic. And we'll be breaking down some Eagles talk, some Flyers. We're getting into the Flyers now. But that's on the DSM Media Philadelphia channel that you have linked in the description there. But for anything else, just follow me on Twitter. I love to interact with everybody. I love to talk and shoot to yeah, we're gonna talk about Karl Anthony Towns. I can't wait to hear his response about that, man. He is a Minnesota fan, of course. But just follow me at Scotty Drowned on Twitter. That's where you'll find everything that I'm doing. And I'm always interacting with everybody on there, trying to get to know everyone.
Well, let's do this again soon and be continuing to talk before the deadline. When's the trade deadline? It's normally right around Valentine's Day.
The 8th of February.
We'll do this again right around the dedeadline, and we'll get you back on to talk more about this. Guys, thank you to Scotty for joining me, man. Scotty, have a good day, my man.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Phil, for having me.
Thanks, my man. All right, that was Scotty Drowned right there. Scotty Talks, DSM Media, everything there. Make sure, like I said, I did put his YouTube channel for the main DSM in the bio of the show. Make sure you check it out and hit the subscribe button. But he does a great job. And like I said, we've been battling. Some of the things we're talking about today, we've been talking about on YouTube shows literally for 4 years together. The same topics, the same players. That's right. Thank you to Scotty, man. It's great to have him on the show again. Nobody does it better talking NBA and Eagles. But yeah, look, guys, I appreciate a lot of new people. Yeah, Scotty, put the link for Scotty Talks YouTube page in the chat, so I could share that out to everybody. And I could do that. Didn't get into any Eagles, which was good. We needed a break from the Eagles. We needed a break from the negativity, but there is an Eagles talk back on this show in the coming days. Obviously, we got pressers and stuff like that. But the one thing, watching the Sixers last night and watching Joel Embiid drop 70 points and watching the videos from after the game, just watching everything and thinking about the Eagles. And I just see such a difference between the culture and the vibes of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia 76ers. There's such a difference right now. And that's the problem with the Eagles. The Eagles need to look at what the Sixers are doing and try to find a way to get that vibe back. Because the vibes were there for the Eagles in 2022. But they weren't there this year. And especially the last 2 months of the season. The Sixers, that team, you watch that locker room, everybody is on the same page. Everybody's, doing whatever it takes for the other person. And then Scotty dropped his YouTube for Scotty Talks in the channel. Check it out. Him and Zach Noble, when he does the shows, are great together. I'm positive. I'm a very positive guy this morning. I'm trying to keep it cool. I'm trying to keep it enjoyable. I know there were a lot of new people in the chat. I didn't get to all your comments. When we don't have guests, every comment is brought up and really discussed at length. When I've got a guest on, I try to just fire through them really quickly. How many teams in the U.S. can say that all their pro sports teams are in the thick of things? I mean, that's true. And even the Flyers and the Union. Tomorrow, we'll have Flyers talk with Bill Matz from PHLY Flyers team. We won't do a full hour of Flyers talk like we did Sixers talk today. We'll give the Flyers like 20 minutes of time tomorrow. I got to do research on the Flyers. That's what I got to do. I haven't watched enough Flyers to be able to interview somebody about the Flyers, but we will bring the Flyers into the conversation, Mark, because everybody's in contention. The Union about to embark on another season. We got Renee Washington joining us next week. She's not going to just talk Union. We'll talk everything with her, but she'll be joining us to give us some Union updates. Philly, for as down as we are on the Eagles in general, and generally speaking, right now, it's a great sports time because all our teams are good. They all are. We've seen plenty of times, Jose, in our time as Philadelphia sports fans, for the Eagles, the Flyers, they all just stink. We got an hour. We did not do an hour of lacrosse, K1. Stop. Get that junk out of here. Brett, Joel giving the game ball to the G League guys was funny and nice. And they just were so happy and just so great. You know, I need a $500 super chat, Eric. I got to pay Scotty for his appearance on the show. I wish. Scotty wishes I was paying him for his time on the show, if anything. But yeah, I mean, it's a special time in Philly. There's a lot of good. We just need the vibes to pick up on the Eagles. And I know Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman are going to talk to the media tomorrow, I think it is. And I'm sure we will spend all day on Thursday talking about it. But it's great to get off the negativity of the Eagles just for a little bit for one day. And it was just perfect timing that Joel Embiid decided to drop 70 points last night, the night before us doing a straight Sixers show. Much appreciated, Kip. Scotty greatly appreciated that as well. Kip, I appreciate all your comments. I wanted to get to as many of them as I could, but when I've got a guest on, which is very rarely on this show, I try to give the guest as much time to say their piece. But on a normal basis this morning, we tend to go comment for comment and really dive deep. The Flyers are way overachieving this season. That is going to be probably the first question I have for Bill Matz for tomorrow. Are they overachieving? Can they sustain it? And stuff like that. That is what we're going to start with the interview tomorrow. And then we'll get into specifics and take questions, etc. What can Sirianni and Howie say to instill? I don't know if they can say anything. I don't think Ron Rivera for DC is going to change any of our feelings about this team. Ron Rivera, Mike Caldwell, Wink Martindale, none of those guys are going to save save the vibes, at least at this point. Are you switching the jersey position to have the Sixers directly? I only have one Sixers jersey that I can hang. Jimmy Butler kind of stays tucked into the corner. And just, kind of there. I can't hang the James Harden jersey up anymore. The only one that's legally allowed to stay up there is the Joel Embiid. But maybe I'll bump Lane Johnson off of where he is, and I'll put Joel so you see Joel front and center. I probably should have had that done already. Probably. I understand. I totally agree. We're going to have a good comment. Yeah, dude, this show every morning, 5 days a week, 90 minutes a day. Lots of good content here on a daily basis. And I want a super creative OC, not a Jim Bob Cooter. Don't you dare give me that. Never change the Jim Thome bobblehead. I love my Jim Thome bobblehead. Right above the Roy Halladay box score of his perfect game. Found in a thrift shop for like $1 from my brother. Love that. You barely see my fanatic there. There's a Chase Utley bobblehead sitting back here somewhere. What else is back there? There's an Eagles bottle, too, back there. Get yourself a Maxey catch on. Yeah. I don't buy jerseys, man. I try not to, man. Cat dropped 62 in a loss. Yes, we talked about it briefly. And Anthony Edwards said after the game, we gave up on trying to win the game and trying to get, him to 100 points or whatever, Anthony Edwards. Basically a loser's mentality in Minnesota. Yeah, Chip Kelly. Yeah, there's rumors that Chip Kelly wants to be an OC in the NFL or NFL teams want Chip Kelly back in the Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm trying to be positive today, Marshawn. Phil, offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Scotty is the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. I'll take that. I would be more the defensive coordinator type, Kip. I'm a defensive guy. I'm a I'm an in the trenches guy, like defensive line play and stuff like that. I'd be more of a defensive coordinator than an offensive coordinator. That's what shiny lights are for. That's where most of my jerseys. That Roy Halladay, authentic right there. That was a birthday gift, and my Lane Johnson, I won in a raffle. And the Jimmy Butler, I won from a radio station. Those three are legit. All the others, that Jalen Hurts jersey right there, that's from Timu. Okay. Goddard was from DH Gate. I got a Sugar Shane Falco buried back there. They're all knockoffs. Ant called them out. That man is awesome. Yeah. I think he was, on the same page with it. If you think about it, the stuff that Philadelphia is doing right now, the Sixers, the Flyers, man. We're going to talk a lot of Flyers tomorrow. Scotty Too Hottie. Does Scotty do the worm? Like Scotty Too Hottie? I don't know. Timu Green Eagles jersey, man. It's awful. There ain't even an Eagles logo on it. It's just a Timu green jersey with the word hurts on it. Who's going to be Rikishi? So that would make, if Scotty is Too Hottie, I would be Grandmaster Sexy. Now we need a Rikishi to join our team. I did it for The Rock. That's my wrestling impersonation for the day. Guys, it's 1:30. It's an hour and a half in. It's 9:30. I gotta wrap this up, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m., 8:15. Bill Matz will be joining us to talk Flyers. Yeah, Rikishi. I did it for The Rock. Rather be Steiner and do the math. Yeah. Big Papa Pump here. Holla if you hear me. He was very athletic. Absolutely. Timberwolves coach called the players' play immature. That was below the belt. It might have been, actually. Yeah, Vita Vey could be our Rikishi. That's right. Let's go Flyers. X-Pac, 6-Pac, 1, 2, 3 kid. He just rode everybody's coattails. That's how tight this team are in Philly. Union, hey, look, the Union are a good quality soccer team, too. We're going to wrap this up, guys. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Make sure you hit that like button, that share button, subscribe button, that retweet button. I greatly appreciate it. Be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. I am Phil Stiefel. Y'all have a great day. It's going to be above freezing for the first time in ages. So it's great. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, it doesn't matter what we talk. Go Birds.